Hey everyone, welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Well, I had a super fun week because I got kind of like a surprise.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
Let's hear it. I got a little surprise too, but it wasn't a very fun surprise.
Well, so I'm trying to think if I'm going to make this long story somewhat succinct, but our old friend and colleague, John Lundberg.
Oh, yeah.
I hung out with him a bit. So he's great, right? We worked for him for a while. Then he worked for me at my other company. Then he actually left to pursue another opportunity. Great for him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he was a big part of our Coreology when we had our startup. He was a big part of our help for that.
Yeah. And so through all those years, he and I became really good buddies.
Yeah.
But then, COVID, and then he finds another job, and then, we just don't cross paths as frequently anymore, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So the other week, one of our other friends was in town. We all got together, went to a soccer game. So we kind of met up again. And then we were talking about jobs, and we're asking how it's going. And, he's like, it's okay. And then last week he sends me a message. He's like, yeah, I might be looking for a new opportunity. It's like, well, that's awesome because I'd love for him to come work for us again because he's great.
I know he is. How exciting.
It is exciting, although we don't quite have the right position for him.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, how it happens. Like someone leaves a job, it gets backfilled, things move around. Things aren't the same as they were.
Right.
A couple years ago.
Right. Exactly.
So it's like, oh, that's a bummer that we don't quite have the right spot. And I was just kind of thinking, like, how do I get, like, what can I do to see, like, if there's an opportunity that John and I get to work together again?
Yeah.
And it dawned on me that we've got this side project called Screenweave that John would be perfect for.
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait, I need to add just a little creative insert here. You always have at least 2 side projects going.
Gotta have options.
Gotta have options.
Not options. No, that's more like chronic, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Chronic entrepreneurship.
Maybe we should do a pod on that someday because I happen to have a JJ's ideas list on my phone that I've had for I don't know how many years. So fun.
Long time.
Yeah, long time. Okay, anyway, back to the surprise.
I sent John a message. I was like, hey, probably don't have anything at Tightrope, but we got this other project. It looks different. It's not even a company yet. It's a prototype and an idea. And he goes, I would love to work on that, which was super surprising. I didn't expect that he would be down for maybe like a little startup adventure.
Yeah.
And it was great. I was like, I was just on cloud 9 all week with the idea that
I know it was so
John
fun.
and I can work on a startup together.
Well, actually, there's a couple little insert pieces that I would make too, being along with you for the ride this week. You actually had been talking about John not that long ago. We had been talking about him, and every time we always have the same, oh, how's he doing? Like we just love him, right? And just this idea that you got a surprise, the universe just dropped this thing in your lap. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Not only are we thinking about him, but he's thinking about you and this role. And also the surprise of he'd be open to doing something that you wouldn't ever expect that he would be.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting.
It is exciting. It's super exciting. And I love when things, in business and stuff, we just talk about planning so much. Like everything's planned. We have quarterly planning, and monthly planning, yearly planning.
Blah, blah, blah.
And it's like, that success comes from planning. Now, I'm not dissing planning
Right,
for all the
exactly.
planners out there. Um, but I truly enjoy sometimes like the whimsy of absolute random things that seem to happen. Now,
Yeah.
we could actually say that's the universe lining something up for us,
Yeah.
which I
I
think
actually
is
think it
probably
is.
true.
I do
Um,
too.
but the experience of that is sometimes really fun.
Yeah, it can actually change your whole spirit actually. Like so I had two things happen this week that I would put in the surprise camp,
Hmm.
right? One of them was not what I would call a good surprise and it kind of threw me for a loop.
Hmm.
And the other is one that I consider to be a huge, like, really good feeling surprise.
Mm.
And one thing I've been kind of thinking about in this conversation of surprise is how it can change your current state of mind, like your
Hmm.
current state of being. Like, let me be more specific. So this week I'm rolling out a couple of training courses, and they are well, it's the same training course, but to a couple of different groups. And I really worked on it a long time, and it's something that I've done a million times, a million times, the topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually wasn't feeling very enthusiastic about it, but I thought that the course was really good. Like it was put together well. It was going to get where we needed to be. But the surprise is with both of these groups, I've had like huge, beneficial, awesome sessions. Just so enthusiastic, so energetic. And both of these sessions with this course, I was so surprised because they fell flat.
Hmm.
They fell flat. So what's funny is I had this energy this whole week of like, oh, this feels hard. Like I got I got a lot going. I'm tired. The weather's yucky.
Hmm.
Like all these things like had added to this mood of sort of malaise. And I expected when I had these group things that it would like pop me up some, right?
Hmm.
Like, oh, this is just great. This is great. Like I feel enthusiastic and happy when I can be with my people.
Hmm.
And the surprise was it didn't turn out that way.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh, wow. Like I'm so surprised by that. Why is that? So that's one surprise. And then the other surprise happened yesterday. My phone rang, and I have a very dear friend. His name's Joe Karen. He was the executive vice president of human resources for American Eagle Outfitters for years and
Hmm.
years and years. And I was one of his, I got to know him as
Yeah,
one of
you did a
his
lot of
three
work for
coaches.
them.
I did,
Yeah.
yes, for 15 years. And, those executives are scheduled in the 15-minute increments.
Mm.
And I formed a really tight bond and relationship with Joe. And we went on to have a really good long-term partnership. He actually came to work with me after he retired because he wanted something fun to do.
Hmm.
Anyhow, I haven't talked to him in probably 10 years, and I really missed him. He went through a number of things in his personal life and just shifting. He's retired. He's in his mid 70s now. And I saw his name pop up on my phone yesterday, and it just filled me with absolute joy to see his name. And here I had been having kind of this like, oh, I'm just tired. I need a weekend. Like, oh, I've just been so. And I saw this, and it absolutely just flipped it out. Like I just flipped out into this like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And we had a really, really good conversation. So it's funny how certain things can just jostle you out of wherever you are, mood
Yeah.
wise or energetically.
Yeah. What I was thinking about kind of, we're talking about surprises, like, or unexpected things
Yeah.
a little bit. And sometimes, like, those unexpected things are not pleasant, right? Like,
Yeah,
the,
right.
the experience, like, something
You
unexpected.
get a flat tire or
Yeah,
right?
it puts you, like, in a super bad mood. But I like this idea that there are a bunch of surprises that actually put you in a really kind of great mood. And
I know, yeah.
unexpected phone call from a friend, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then I think, like, what are the things that we can do for others to bring those little moments of unexpected joy?
That's great. What a great question. What are you thinking? You asked the question. You must have some ideas.
Not really.
See, I'm on to you. It's only been 3 years doing this podcast, but I feel like now, you ask a question like that, and you're waiting.
I lead with a question answer.
Yeah.
No, I think it's some of those like I don't know, random reach outs, right? Like it's so easy to just not reach out or let things kind of be status quo. So reaching out to someone you haven't talked to in a while, certainly can turn into like a really fun event.
I have this little thing that I just realized when you started asking that question, because I started reaching back into my mind thinking, oh, that's such a good question. Like, what do I think? Do you know what I think is interesting? How many times have you gotten like this little ping? Like you think about somebody or you see a situation or, and you get this little ping to do something. Yeah. Like, right? Okay. And how many times do you act on it?
So thanks to the self-awareness journey, that used to happen to me a lot. Like I'd get those pings, but then I wouldn't ever do anything because I just say like, okay, I'll just ignore this. This
I'll
is
do
just
it
my
later.
Brain doing whatever. But now when I get that, I really, really try to act on it, because what I started noticing is as I'd get that feeling, I wouldn't do anything, and then I'd learn like 3 days later that whatever, that person that popped into my head that I thought I should reach out to was actually in, maybe had a health thing or they had a thing in their life.
Yes.
And somehow I like had an instinct to reach out at that moment. So I've been really trying to do those as soon as I feel them.
Wow. This came up once. I was reading this article about it wasn't about this topic, but there was a story about this within the article, and it was explaining how the human reacts to, in this situation they were talking about a homeless person. And it just talked about the little quick pings that happen in our minds when we see someone. And the example that they used was that a person walks by somebody who's sitting on the sidewalk and has a money jar out or something like that. And instantly the person says to themselves, oh, I should just put a little money in that jar. And right after that is, well, all I have is a 20. Ooh, that's too much. I don't think I should do that. And, oh, now I'm too far walking past that I'm not going to. But just how quickly the mind travels from a quick blip like that, like a ping, to just a dismissive state of whatever that idea was. And I think that it's really interesting to pay attention to that, because I think we do that all the time. It's like I might be like really busy and think, oh, there's this client that I know is having, getting promoted this week. And I might be busy and I might think, oh, I wonder, I should just call her and see how she's doing. Yeah. Oh, I've got a really busy calendar. Maybe I'll just send her a message. And then, I'll do that right after I do and then I just,
right.
And then it's a text at 9 o'clock.
She'll get a promotion and all her friends and family will congratulate her. I don't need to.
And I'm talking to her next week. Right. And this isn't trying to be dismissive of the human at all. Like, it's the reverse of that, because then I feel bad. Like, I think, oh my gosh, it would have felt so good. And how cool would that have been to just do that? So I, like you, have been trying to be way more like on the spot. Like if I think of something, I try to follow it as quickly as I can. And there is something about speed. There is something about the action right after the thought. Yep. The speed in which those two things come together help create that sort of surprise or that feeling.
Yep. Yeah, it reminds me of in the creative space, there's a book called Big Magic, and it's from, I forget her name, the woman who wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh yeah, Elizabeth Gilbert.
Elizabeth Gilbert. And she talks about how the universe like has creative ideas, and it looks for people as like the outlet for it.
I love that.
And the universe will come a knocking and give you an idea, and if you don't act on it, it'll just like go to the next person.
Go to the next person.
So she has this crazy story about how she had this idea for a book, didn't act on it. And then like
Oh.
2 years later, another person wrote like the exact same book, the same exact premise, down to like weird details like the main character's name. Yeah, like just
Oh.
crazy
Oh my gosh.
coincidence, right?
You know what? Charles Darwin was actually the second person who was creating the whole evolution thing. Same exact thing. The first person was someone who wrote all the exact same stuff, had a ton of, but was too afraid to put it out there. And so across the landscape, Charles Darwin's working on the same thing, and he does push it out. He
Yeah.
did get a lot of negative press, but he took that inspiration and ran
Yeah.
with it. And that
Yeah.
other person provided all their stuff later, and it was identical. And back then, there was no internet, there was no
Right.
plagiarizing, right? But yeah, that just is exactly in the same thing. This idea of the spark.
The universe is trying to deliver something.
Yeah,
Okay, shifting a little bit.
yeah,
Okay, so the other, I don't know, fun surprise thing I like to get myself into.
yeah,
We asked that question.
yeah.
For me, it's like I say getting lost. Actually, I love getting lost.
I forgot about
So,
that.
but the idea that you go do something like very spontaneous or kind of random,
Yeah.
to me leads to really fun surprises sometimes.
Oh my gosh,
Like
that is great. I love it.
like the other weekend on a whim, Abby and I decided to go to Can Wonderland, which is like a mini golf arcade that's artist inspired. Have you heard of it? You should go.
No, that sounds super cool.
Well, we went and there was a 2.5 hour long wait to go play mini golf.
Oh,
So then we left and we went to the Walker Art Center, walked around the sculpture garden, and walked around the museum. And just the idea that we got like stuck in one way, but then I
Yeah.
just was like, I don't know, look, we'll just go drive over into Minneapolis and just see what happens. And then we drove past the Walker, like, oh, we'll go there. And, I just like spent
Yeah.
the afternoon kind of wandering around, led to
that's
like
so
a really awesome afternoon with my daughter.
Right.
Unplanned, a bunch of fun surprises because we just stumbled into some stuff that
Right.
was really fun.
My girlfriend Carolyn and I went out for dinner last week, and she said the exact same story. She and her husband on Sunday had like nothing going on, and they just threw their dogs in the car and they started to drive with the premise of trying to find a park or something where they could get a pretty view. That was the only thing that they were doing. So they hopped in their car.
Wonderful.
Isn't it? And they hopped in their car and they ended up on the Wisconsin border at some place. It wasn't Interstate Park, but some cool place. And all of a sudden, I got this Snapchat, and it was this gorgeous view of this bluff, and of course this is an icky time of year, but you know what? It was beautiful. And she just said, "Yeah, we just jumped in the car and decided to go do something." And she's like, people sit in their houses bored. It's like, she
Yeah.
she said, get in the car and just go see what happens. That's what
Yeah.
she said.
That's awesome. See,
It is.
that is where fun surprises occur, is when, to me, it's like when you don't have a plan and you're just open to seeing what unfolds.
Yeah, I agree. And also I love this idea of being able to help other people have their fun surprises unfold too. And like you said, you try to act on stuff right away. I do too. Like for me, I use the one example of the promotion, but there's a whole bunch of times where I will very randomly text people that I haven't talked to in 15 years. And
Yeah.
what I always do is I try to have fun by making the text like we're in the middle of a conversation that we've been having. And I have a girlfriend specifically that she and I do this, and we're both so good at it because we worked together for years and years. Actually, her name's Julie, and I did a video on her not that long ago. It's actually, I think that's the headliner video in the self-awareness journey, the story talking about her.
Oh,
so
yeah.
she was one of my mentors, and we're a few years apart. We're like siblings really now. And I haven't talked to her in 5 years, and all of a sudden I'll be like, so what is the cat up to these days? Like I will just very randomly send her something like that, and she just hops right in, and it is just a joyful experience. It's so much fun to do something random and fun like that to create a little energy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you said random, and
Yeah.
for quite a while, everyone would talk about random acts of kindness,
Yeah.
right? Which is another great way to like have unexpected universe things happen in
Yeah.
your life.
Totally.
And that idea that you would pay some of that forward, right? You do something
Yeah.
unexpectedly nice for somebody, and then it comes back to you later is a fun game.
Yeah, it is a fun game. And just be open to the experience of surprises for you too, because they're always happening. There's always synchronicities. There's always randomness that isn't random at all. I mean, I think that when you look for them, you see more and more examples of that. It happens all the time.
Yep. Fun. Well, what are you going to do? What random thing are you going to go do this weekend? Or what thing are you going to do to create some random surprises in your life this weekend?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel nervous now.
Yeah, text a random bunch of people and have them meet you in a random park. See what happens.
Yes, why not?
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.